after the fact to disprove what was said by the authorities. Once again, and based on what is being said, these young men were chased, shot at from inside a police vehicle, chased, rammed a vehicle into the vehicle that contained the young men, shot from inside the car at these men who are now only thinking about if they could possibly survive this situation. The autopsy said all of them were shot from behind, shot in the back of the head. Three innocent men, it would appear. And then we in this country are talking more about a road being blocked, tires being burnt, inconvenience in the town. This is such a bad sign for us. And even to hear the politicians say that if someone is shooting at you, you'll have to shoot back, and then reference made to a Western movie. Beloved, I can assure you that if that were 3 little Syrian boys who were shot by the police, the politicians dare not talk like that. They dare not. Because they'll be summoned in and told, have some damn respect. But it's us. So anything could be said. In such a case, and in any case of justice, the executioner cannot also be the judge and the jury. The executioner must never be the magistrate in a case. Imagine you are walking down the street one day and someone pulls you into an alley and stabs you and leaves you there bleeding to death. But you're saved. And you're picked up. You're taken to the hospital. Then you're taken to the police station to give a statement. And they ask you, do you know who did this? You say, yes, I can identify them. And they show you 5 individuals on an ID parade and say, was it any one of these? Do you see the culprit in this line of suspects? And you say, yes, I see him. Can you point him out to us? Yes, I can. Which one is he? He's number 4. Are you sure that's him? Yes, that's him. Okay. And you've identified the suspect, the culprit. And then they appoint your day in court. And then when you arrive at the court, and an announcement is declared, all rise for the honorable judge. And then everyone stands And the judge walks in, and the same person who stabbed you in that alley is the judge who's sitting in the court. And you're there in shock. But you start to shout out, it's him, that's the person who tried to kill me. And the same judge hits the gavel with his hammer. Order, order, order in the court. You can't speak out now. Wait your turn, or let your lawyer speak on your behalf. And then you whisper into your lawyer, say, but that's him. Now, what kind of justice do you expect to get if the same person who tried to kill you, or the same system that tried to take your life, is presiding over your court case? What kind of justice do you expect? Well, the young people are being told, trust the system. Trust the process. But the process has already proven itself to be untrustworthy, unreliable, biased, and dishonest. And we have all of the cases, all of the testimonies, and it's becoming way too consistent. It's becoming way too repetitive. I remember the case a year and a half ago of Akil Ayers, December 2nd, 2020, where his father called him on the phone. He was asleep at home. His father's talking to him on the phone. And he says, son, the police apparently are looking for you. This man gets up, confused, half asleep. His father is telling him on the phone, police are looking for you. And then he hears a knock on his door. The father hears a knock. And then the son tells the father, okay, I think they're here. Father said, okay, let me know what's going on. Next thing you know, the father hears his son is dead. He was talking to his son on the phone when the police knocked on his door. He told his father, I think they're here. I'm hearing a knock on the door. The next thing he hears about his son is that his son is dead, and that his son was shooting at the police. And he missed. But the police shot back and killed him. How? And then it's so similar to an earlier case of Tristan Cobbler, who was also talking to his mother on the phone. And he's on the phone hiding in the bushes. January 3rd, 2010. And he's telling his mother on the phone, Mom, the police just shot me. He was shot in the leg, he was bleeding, and they were hunting him. Hunting him down like an animal. He was already shot. already incapacitated, unable to walk, more or less run away, hiding in the bushes. His mother's on the phone. Then his mother hears her son say, "Oh God, don't shoot me. Don't shoot me. I can't even move. Don't shoot me." The next thing Tristan Cobbler's mother heard about her son was that he was dead and he was shooting at the police and missed. And the police shot back and hit. What about Billy Toucey, who's killed in Maraval on June the 11th, 2020, where Billy Toucey went to a police station and lodged a complaint about threats being made to him by a senior police officer regarding a land matter. Billy Toucey and a senior police officer were in a dispute over land. He took it to the police station. He said, "Look, the police authorities need to hear about this." He was worried. He was concerned. Next thing you know, Billy Toucey is killed by a police officer. What was the story? Oh, he was shooting at the police. Now, this one with Andrew Morris. Where it was said, now this one was kind of different because the whole country was caught up in the emotions over Andrea Barrett. But when that died down and we think back, that they said Andrew Morris fell off a chair and died in February 2021. But video footage showed a barebacked Morris exiting his home dressed in boxer shorts. He was instructed to lie face down on the ground with his hands at the back of his head. He complied. Then the footage taken at a frontal angle on February 10th, 2021, according to the Sunday Express, shows SORT officers ceaselessly beating Morris while he lay on the ground, repeatedly asking about the whereabouts of the girl. The beating lasted over 45 minutes, during which Morris at times curled himself into a fetal position with both his hands covering the back of his head. At no time does he appear to offer any physical resistance. And another position, according to the Express report, reviewing the video, sees him kneeling. A third position shows him lying on his stomach, and another shows him lying on his back. In all these postures, officers hovered over him, inflicting stomps and kicks about the body and the head. All the while, Morris is screaming at the officers, "I don't know anything about the girl. I just rent cars." At one point, Morris lies on his stomach as he attempts to crawl wreathing, begging, and screaming for the officers to stop, pleading he knew nothing about the girl. Instead, an officer in the footage is seen with a flat object in his hand, which he slams onto Morris's back, causing his entire body to jerk upwards. He screams out, "Oh God, I know nothing." He lifts his head a little and pleads with the other officers looking on for assistance. Another officer instead kicks Morris's side with force. Morris screams. The officer kicks Morris's side, saying, "We could go somewhere else and continue this." Now, they say he fell off a chair. He was seated on a chair. He fell off the chair and died. Now, there was the Trumac 5, executed by the police on October 24th, 2018. 15-year-old Shaquem Francois, 17-year-old Kadeem Phillip, 20-year-old Chandel St. Clair, 23-year-old Nicholas Barker, 26-year-old Meshach Douglas. I visited the exact scene of where these 5 men were slain, and then their dead bodies dragged across the concrete and thrown in the back of police vans, which within itself is a violation of what the police are required to do. Said they were shooting at the police. You have to go and see that place for yourself. A tiny little corridor way, a little table, and they're playing cards. You come in, you turn the corner, and they're right there. There's no 4 or 5 meter distance where you can see someone coming. It's the back of a little area there, a little table, chairs. These 5 young men playing cards apparently were shooting at the police. Blood all over the sofa where they were sitting. Bullet holes in the walls. And of course, the Movar 3. Israel Clinton, Jason Jacob, and Noel Diamond. June 28, 2020. According to the Newsday newspaper, police claimed one of the men came out of a vehicle and pulled out a firearm. The Guardian newspaper said of the same day, quoting the police's account, said, quote, "The officers maneuvered their vehicle to force the suspect's car to stop. The officers then got out the vehicle and approached the suspects, which had the driver in their vehicle, a front passenger, and another in the passenger seat. Police said on moving closer to the vehicle, the man in the back seat got out, looked at the approaching officers, quickly got back into the vehicle, reached for a firearm, and opened fire on them. And of course missed. The officers returned fire, hitting all 3 suspects in the car. But then the security camera video footage is released. And it reveals an account that was very, very different to what the police stated. It was clear from the footage that the men in the vehicle voluntarily stopped. They were not blocked. They came out with their hands in the air, and then they were executed. This after police officer Alan Mosley, 32, was shot just about a week before. Why lie so much? And why lie so unnecessarily? And if you're lying that much, how can we trust you? You have Dr. Valerie Alexandrov, this chief expert forensic specialist from, where's he from? Russia or somewhere like that. Chief expert forensic specialist in reviewing one case of Nigel Caesar. Again, they said Nigel Caesar had a gun and was firing at the police when he was killed. But according to Dr. Valerie Alexandrov, Nigel Caesar was shot in the upper back while moving away. A single bullet entered his upper back, perforated his lung on the aortic orifice of the heart before exiting through his upper chest near his neck. Dr. Alexandrov said clearly Caesar's back was turned, raising questions over the police's account. Also, the shot does not appear to be random or stray. It looks like it was placed precisely to kill. And the gun of the gunman up to that moment had not been recovered. Now, what is really sad about this is when things like this happen, the politicians come before the people and say things like, well, if you're shooting at the police, what do you expect? And, oh God, it's disgusting. And what is really revealing about this is when you take to social media and you see what certain sections of our community are saying, this rainbow country, this one love, this here every creed and race finds an equal place, bogus myth land, where they say, oh, there's no racism here and there's equality. Look at some of the things that are said on social media, and you will see them gloating, rejoicing, celebrating over the execution of these young black men. That is a reality in this country, that when things like this happen, there's the gloating. It's almost like a celebration. Oh, it's so dreadful, beloved. It is so horrific. And so now, Fabian Richards, 21 years old, of El Socorro. His cousin, Isaiah Roberts, 24 years old, of Beetham Gardens. And Leonardo Williams, 17 years old, of Laventil. Executed. And there's no kind of national condemnation of it from those in authority. But it's not just what happened, it's who it happened to. And the lack of regard. I have to say, I heard the Minister of National Security give remarks on this. And unlike many statements that have come out in the past from police commissioners, from politicians, almost like you're talking down to the masses who are the victims. I heard the Minister of National Security give an appeal that sounded balanced. And I was temporarily comforted by that. Because the way I see it, you have to have some kind of insight on what's happening in the community. This has to be in your heart somewhere. And listen, beloved, and I will admit that I have said this too, and I still say it. And I'm talking about this cliched statement where you hear us say all the time, that when the police kill our youth, that we come out and protest, but when we kill each other, everyone stays silent. Yes, I say that. I've been saying that all the time, and I'm still saying it now. I'm still saying it now. But think about this, though. Now, I don't have the exact figure, but I estimate on average there are around 50. I know there have been quite a few years where there's been much more. But let's look at an average of about 50 police executions of young black men per year. Average of around 50. Now, that would mean that in the last 10 years or so, we would have had approximately 500. With an average of 50 per year, we would have had at least or around 500 young black men killed by the police. Question: have there been 500 major protests? No. Well, if 500 young black men were killed by the police and there have not been 500 major protests, then you cannot say, oh, every time the police kill someone. How many major protests have there been? Because that one that took place this week, you know when last they had a protest of that magnitude? There was for the Mova 3, which was almost 2 years ago now. Then before that, it was 2017 on the highway of this magnitude. So that's 3 in 5 years. And I estimate over the last 10 years, protests to the degree where different parts of the town are coordinated in their lifting of their voices against the injustice that these men are victims of on the street. You don't even have one every year. But 500 dead. And major protests, there have been in the last 10 years, maybe just about 7 or 8 on that level. So what does that tell you then? And it is as if they're being encouraged. It is as if they're being deputized to just kill and make up any story whatsoever. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, and speaking about the police authorities are the same today as they were during slavery. In fact, this is how policing began. He said police were formed to catch runaway slaves, bring them back to their masters, and make examples of them to throw fear into the other slaves. It is the same today. Police authorities are trained to kill as well as to protect. But where black people are concerned, police legitimize their mob attacks under the name of backup. Police backup is often no different than the lynch mobs of 100 years ago. The killing of our people, shooting them with many bullets when one would have done the job. And then that deliberative body, which is to discuss the brutal murder of our people by looking into the facts, comes away calling it justifiable homicide. So during the June 2020 Black Lives Matter protests, there was a video circulating featuring residents from Duncan Street, Port of Spain, who are highlighting the fact that police had just dropped off an alleged rival gang member from John John, whom the youth from Duncan Street said they refused to harm, in spite of this being what the corrupt police officers had intended or hoped for them to do. On the video, they filmed and they said, listen, these are their exact words. They showed the young man. They said, look, police just dropped him off here. And they said, quote, "We are not killing any black people today." This is what the youth was saying. We are not killing any black people today. Do you remember our sister Marcia Henville, who had that TV6 program entitled Point Blank, and the programs on Gael TV that she did? She interviewed young men who had this experience about being picked up by the police and taken over to a rival gang area with the hope and expectation that they're going to be harmed or shot or killed. Why would you want to do that? But it's become commonplace as part of our culture, a culture of death. And see, going back to that Andrew Morris case, think for yourself of what could have emboldened the police to make up such a story. No one in any part of the world will believe that someone was sitting on a chair, fell off, and died. But it's like they're capitalizing off the rage that the country was feeling at the time and felt, well, we can tell them anything. Just like with the case of Dylan Bandy Skeet and some guests from Jamaica who were up around Block 22 filming a documentary called The Lights of Laventil. And numerous eyewitness reports spoke about these men being lined up against a wall and executed. But again, look at one of the stories that followed that September 2014 incident. About bullets being fired there that hit the Besson Street police station, of which the only way it could have made any sense was if the bullets had traveled down Laventil Road, past Block 22, down to Piccadilly Street, curving, winding, bending the road, making a left turn, flying across the Piccadilly Greens, and then hitting the Besson Street police station. What emboldens them to make up stories like this anytime they kill our young black men? I'll be back in the second hour to take your calls. Don't go away.
The views expressed are not necessarily the views of the management of the Street 919 FM.
Let's go. See when I tell you what I tell you. See when I tell you what I tell you. See when I tell you what I tell you. What I tell you, what I tell you, what I tell you, what I tell you. Let's go. Let's go. We are something special, hey. Very special, hey. Something special, hey. Hey, hey. We are something special, hey. Very special, hey. Something special, hey. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. Very special, no, no. See when I tell you, what I tell you, no, no. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. It seemed like forever and a day we've been on this ride. And all the things that you do for me, my gratitude I can hide. And all the ups and downs turn around, you're always right by my side. And now we're walking and standing tall and holding my head up high. When you turn down, you turn around. Take my front, turn it upside down. Take my words and you make a song. Take my short and you make it long. Keep my feet firmly on the ground. When I'm weak, yeah, you make me strong. So for you now, I sing this song. Everybody hands up and sing it with me. We are something special, hey. Very special, hey. Something special, hey. Hey, hey. We are something special, hey. Very special, hey. Something special, hey. Hey. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. Very special, no, no. See when I tell you, what I tell you, no, no. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. Where we going, where we going, where we going? We up and down, we all around. We going country, we going down. We going east, we going west. You know we friendship, it is the best. We up and down, we all around. We going country, we going down. We going down to the ground, 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 to the ground. We are something special, hey. Very special, hey. Something special, hey. Hey, hey. We are something special, hey. Very special, hey. Something special, hey. Hey. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. Very special, no, no. See when I tell you, what I tell you, no, no. See when I tell you, when I tell you, no, no. When I tell you, when I tell you, I tell you when I tell you. I say what I tell you when I tell you. I mean it. I tell you when I tell you, what I tell you when I tell you. I mean it. I telling you what I tell you when I tell you, when I tell you what I tell you. I tell you when I mean it.
Looking for a safe and relaxed professional massage therapist and nutritionist? Look no further. Nature's Touch with Empress Judy and Associates offers a natural approach to better health. Treat yourself to a professional massage therapy and nutrition advice in a safe and relaxed atmosphere. Rejuvenate your body, mind, and soul at Nature's Touch Therapy. For an appointment, please call or WhatsApp 1-868-398-8282 or visit our Facebook page. Remember, your health is our responsibility at Nature's Touch.
Better vision for your physical eyes, and through the eyes of faith, let healing arise in your mind, body, and spirit. At Natural Healing Ministries, we teach kingdom principles for living that brings the blessing of God to your mind, body, and soul.
NHM Professional Associates are located at number 10 Moody Stewart Street, Monrepos, San Fernando. For more info, contact Dr. Desmond Phillip at NHM on 349-3494.
NHM Professional Associates can be heard live on the Street 919 FM every Saturday from 9:05 to 9:55 a.m.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday from 12 midnight to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM radio. Here my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
Counselor for Monrepo Navet, Nigel Cotier presents Splash, Bubbles and Foam. Saturday, 9th July at Monrepo's grounds from 10 a.m. Splash, Bubbles and Foam. Lots of prizes to be won. Look out for the Counselor's Cup Small Goal. Register now by calling the Counselor's office at 610-2861. All teams must be registered. There is no registration fee. Splash, Bubbles and Foam. Saturday, 9th July, Monrepo grounds from 10 a.m. The football starts at 10 a.m. and the fun events will start at 3 p.m.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory. Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen. So there's a need for brotherhood. Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen. Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen. Brotherhood is demanded. Black man get up, black man stand up, black man you better listen. Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory. Brotherhood is essential, it is urgent, and it is compulsory. But the time demands brotherhood. Whenever the dominant white society fears for its economic future, racial tensions are always aggravated. The aim of Almighty God is to bring the black man and woman together. The aim of Almighty God is that we, no matter how divided we have been in the past, must experience unity in order to gain the success that we seek and the progress that we desire. There is no way that a divided people can build a future. Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. So there's a need for brotherhood. But if you walk the earth proud and arrogant, you never learn your lesson because you think you already know. And how in the hell could you know and be in the shape that we're in? How can there be any brotherhood if there's not even the honoring of a word?
Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen. Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen. Black man, get up. Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen.
But the Quran and the Bible bear witness that the heavens and the earth were created with truth.
Black man, stand up. Black man, you better listen.
Brotherhood is required. Brotherhood is demanded. Brotherhood is obligatory. Brotherhood is essential. It is urgent and it is compulsory. I feel that every man that wants to speak should have the right. And if you think you know it better, get on up. Come on. And get on and do the job. But if you don't know what to do, and all your mouth is able to do is condemn and criticize, but you have no works to show the rightness of your philosophical adherence, then maybe you should rethink your position.
Welcome back and welcome to the second hour of the Black Agenda here on the Street 919 FM. I am Brother David Muhammad. We're going up to 9 o'clock this morning and we are now opening up the telephone lines and taking your calls on 342-0081 and 466-5391. Of course, we also want to thank all those who came out and supported African Expo number 12 last weekend. Of course, we have the George Padmore Boys Academy sessions continuing. This morning, we're on to session number 5. And our theme for today is speaking to the young men, the dangers of drugs and alcohol. And our guest presenter this morning is Brother Errol Fabian, who has an incredible story to tell. So, of course, our Boys Academy running at the Kwame Ture Center, Saturday mornings, 10 o'clock. We're on to session number 5. Last week we had such a fantastic session as well. There's just so much to say about that academy, but you can still bring in the young men, 17 years and under, let them register, let them become a part of it. We are planning an outing in about 7 weeks from now. Also, we're going to have a special dinner in an atmosphere where our young men would learn all the required etiquette and professionalism required for some of those kinds of environments in a business setting. And so much. So, we are out this morning again, 10 o'clock at the Kwame Ture Center. So you can bring in the young men, they can register, right there on the spot. All right, let me try and sort out these phones now.
Good morning, David Mohammed.
Wow, good morning. Yes.
Yes, I long time I call your program. I just be listening. I just be working too now.
Well,
anyhow, I want to say blessed unto the people of Trinidad and Tobago, especially the African people in Trinidad and Tobago around the world. I want to say blessed unto David Mohammed and his family, and blessed unto all the African people who listen to David Mohammed program in the interest of black people. Anyhow, I want to say something, I listened to this whole story since that shooting go on Saturday with all the young men, and I believe yet the police and them was wrong. You understand? I don't know what happened because I was not there, but I know these men was murdered. And I want to say also, I was a child from the late 1960s. You understand? And I grew up in the 1960s, in the 1970s, in the 1980s and on. But you see, African people then was more conscious. When a person long time in the 1970s, let me say, this person is a thief, and they know there is a thief, there was a shame to be caught. And if people know what they are doing, they will deny it, and they will try to stop it. You understand? Let me tell you something what's going on here now. African people in this country not learning. You see, if the youth and them could go back and learn and understand the children them from in the late 1960s, in the 1970s growing up there, it would be a great foundation to them. Because I'm going to tell you something, police never used to be shooting African people children in the road in the 1960s and the 70s and the 80s. And because, but tell you something, the reason why this happening is because we lose self-respect for each other and ourselves. When you put on your radio or you're watching the news, you're seeing a person, yes, we know it's not the African news bringing in the drugs and the guns and all that, but when you see a murder happen, who you see running down the road or running up the road with the gun in their hand? This is something, you understand? If we don't have respect for ourselves and for each other, well then nobody will have respect for us. You understand? That is why the police can gun down our youths in the road. Because when you put on your radio and listen to news, for the year you're hearing 460-something murders for the year, 470 murders for the year. You understand? Right? Now, they doesn't take police murders and put it in the same category with the 400-something murders. They have that separate. But at the end of the day, the 400-something murders for the year, who is the one who is killing most of these African people? African people is the one doing it. So long as we put on the gun, no matter how hard life is, if you have food to eat, you have clothes, you don't have a job, put on the gun, stop killing one another. Try to hold up all your head. You understand? I'm going to tell you something. We didn't grow up like kings and queens, you know. We grew up struggling. Our grandparents, we always had food to eat. We used to plant gardens. Our grandparents teach us to plant food. All kind of food. Pumpkin, body, sim, dashing bush, everything, corally, everything we used to plant. We didn't have the money. My parents and them didn't have all the money to go. In those days, they didn't have much supermarket. There was only Philo most of the time and Ramesh and Ria in Sawo and all them places, right? But they didn't have much. They don't know all these sort of groceries and things, you know. It's more hard things like parlor and shop. You know, all in the 1970s and things. People used to go in the shop and buy pong and this. In those days, you understand, a quarter bread was like 12 cents. You used to go and buy a quarter of a fresh full leaf butter, a pound of sugar. You could get them small carnation milk in half tin, like for, I think was about 8 cents or something. So, you understand, and so on. People could have lived still. But I'm telling you, the main reason for this, why they get gun down our turn in the road, is because we lose respect for each other and ourselves. So if we put on the gun, they will not nothing on us, you know. They will not nothing on us. You understand? Just like in the 70s, no murders. Police never used to be gunning down African people in the 70s, the 60s, and the 50s, and all the way up the road. You understand? Because we had respect for each other. You understand? We had respect for ourselves. No, but tell you something. I used to learn with some fellas when I was about 9 years, 10 years, not too far from home, on a block. And if them big fellas who is about 14 years catch you doing something wrong, the amount of clothes you will get in the 1970s, you understand, from them older fellas, you ain't want to do nothing wrong around them. And they run in your home. And if they catch you doing something wrong, they pants you, you know, and send you home. You understand? The pants you because they never used to stand for wrong. So who is there guiding you? We have a lot of people in our society. When you tell them it's about 17 years, 16 years, they give them a gun. Go and put down some robberies and I will pay your salary in a week up. And wherever you loot and thing, you bring it up for me and they call them what? I don't want to say they were community leaders. You understand? They guys the road, they're going down, guiding the youth. Instead of teach them the right things and try to get them to learn a trade, try to get them to read a book, taking some medication. You understand? I'm surviving on trade work right now. Because my father sent his boyfriend and them to learn trade. Look, me and my cousin yesterday, he's a joiner. So we went down 5 rivers down there to drop some things. Some small things, you understand? He don't have a transport, so I go with him, you understand? And that's how we live. We prop each other up instead of pull each other down.
Yep.
When a black person doing right, you understand? Don't try to envy him and try to rob him and try to gun him down because look, he's doing better than me, and we don't want to go down that road. But if you those youths who get murdered are really sad, I am sorry for what happened. You understand? And again, you understand? We have to hold up our head and teach the youth and them. That is not the way to go down to hold a gun. That is not a future. That is not a job.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, my dear brother. Thanks for calling. Always appreciate your contribution. Caller, good morning.
A pleasant morning to you, Dr. Mohammed.
Yes, good morning, sir.
You hear me properly, Doctor?
Yes.
Right. Doctor?
Yep, go ahead.
Yes, Doctor.
Uh-huh.
Doctor, how to describe what took place with these 3 young men, it is sad. And I'll tell you why. And I do not want to be wrong because I want a lot of people to get to this one. All I will say, the blood of these 3 young men is on the hands of national security in Trinidad and Tobago. And let me repeat this clearly. The blood of these 3 young African men is on the hands of national security. And I tell you what, take your mind back to when the Iwer administration just came into power. We had a list was circulated by businessmen to write off African youth. And come on, people, let's call it as it is. And I'm saying, for the longest while, dear Doctor, I knew all these young men were not killing one another. I knew there was a lynching mob by national security. And as I talk here, I talk with pain in my heart. Dr. Mohammed, hear me well. And as I take my leave of this one, 1970 is on our doorstep. Regardless to what we say or do, it's here. And I'm saying it, it's a lynching mob sponsored by the state. Dr. Mohammed, if we look at the sequence, if we look following up all these deaths by these young men, I knew a long time it It was sponsored by the State by National Security to get rid of young Africans. It's a sad day in Trinidad, and I'm saying I still yet wait to hear from the National Security Minister as a conscious Rastaman. To me, he did not give a proper statement on the death of these 3 young African brothers. And if nobody has read the Prime Minister's stuff, but I wait for the National Security Minister to say something about the death of these 3 young black brilliant men. And as I take my leave, people, African men and women, listen to poverty. Talk to your children, because I say this as I take my leave. There is a lynching mob sponsored by the State by National Security to kill out young black men. Poverty territory.
All right, thank you. Call sounded a little bit muffled, but we got the gist. Thank you. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Dr. Mohammed.
Good morning to you.
Yes, as far as I understand, I want to say this overall. Let me get to the point.
Mm-hmm.
Protests in Trinidad to me is supposed to be like carnival. Every village from the east to the west and north to the south. Especially those two last killing in Faizabad and the young men. All right? So they're supposed to protest for the violence in Trinidad and Tobago, the drugs and the violence. Every committee, everywhere in Trinidad and Tobago, supposed to be protesting against the violence that's going on in the country. I don't talk.
Right, but caller? All right. Well, thank you. I wanted to point out to him, and if you're listening, I wanted to point out to you that, of course, we agree with you 100%. But there is this disconnect within this society of when it comes to East Port of Spain. There are many parts of this country that believe until the issue gets to their doorstep, who believe that people in East Port of Spain or Laventil, Beetham, Movar, Sealots are deserving of this kind of brutality and treatment from the police. And again, the politicians encourage it because they never, ever condemn these kinds of actions. In light of all of the evidence that comes out, the lies that are told, the video footage that disputes what the police were saying, they still encourage these kinds of actions. I mean, how come, okay, that whole thing about someone falling off a chair and dying, and then video evidence showing up with them kicking and stomping and beating the man to death. How come no one lost their job over that? How come with the Movar 3, when the police said these men pulled out guns and were pointing at them, and then the video evidence comes out and shows these men had their hands up, they were executed? How come no one even lost a job for that? The most you hear is that they put them on desk duty. That's crazy. It's crazy. And in the light of all of this, they could kill teenagers, children, young people, murder them in cold blood, be caught planting evidence, planting weapons, lying. And then the politicians would still say, well, if you shoot at the police, you must expect to get shot back. And that's insane. That is insane. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Brother David.
Good morning.
David, I am saying it plain. I'm not saying sometimes that the young men might be a little on the wrong side. But at the same time, I find the police and them is getting too aggressive, over too aggressive. They're coming, I find they're doing like the police in a certain country. They do what they do, and then they ask questions after. That is what they're doing right now. I am very sad to see what is taking place, especially with our young black youth. The blood is being spilled on the ground too much. But they were in 1977, my first husband was murdered, DJ Gabi. Right, that was my first husband.
I didn't know that.
Yes, DJ Gabi. Jama who's speaking to you, your friend Jama. DJ
Yeah,
Jama.
I know.
Remember, DJ Gabi was my first husband.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yes, I was married to DJ Gabi, and in 1977, the 18th of July, 1977, he was murdered by some young men.
Wow.
Did not know what happened this murder going on. Yes, he come from a party, and right in front of the business place, opposite Fernandez, what he had there, they murdered him right there. Yes, 4 of the men, them days were the days of the Boroughs. The Boroughs had handled 4 of them, and one, he got off. And I think after he went and killed somebody in some other place and then ended up on where I don't know how he ended up. But that happened to me in 1977 with my husband. Yes. It's sad. And since that till now, it is very sad to see what is taking place, especially these days with our young African youth. I am saying, please, I'm begging on you, please. I'm not saying nothing wrong at all. All time, but try, oh Lord, I'm begging on you, please, try hard. I'm a mother of 4, 2 sons, 2 daughters, 17 grandchildren, and 8 great grands, right? And I am saying it plain. I don't want to see nothing like that happen to my children. So I'm begging on the youth, try and stay away from the reaches of these police and them, please, okay? I'm begging on you, please. Okay, brother, thank you very much.
Thank you. Caller, good morning. Oops.
Hakim Mohammed.
Yes, my brother.
But I just say, you must put on the gun. It's not put on the gun, you mustn't pick up the gun. If you don't pick it up, you have no cause to pick it up. Right? Before I say what I want to say, but I already sister from Bartaria, I don't know if you could get my number to her. I was trying to get in touch with her and I get lost. I couldn't come down there last week. I get lost. Right? But I like to get in touch with her. Right? But David, I said something. So years ago, I said something. That in the States, once you're young and colored black, and police pull you aside, you will never reach age 25. If you look and you see what's happening in Trinidad, you're running away, your hands in the air. You understand? They will shoot you dead. 90 shots was fired at a black youth in America. 6 victims. These youths and them down here, their hands in the air, they're running and you're killing them. So it seems like they're taking the pattern, you understand, of the Americans in dealing with the young Africans in this country. But our people have to understand, Brother David, that it's important to teach your children, bring up your children and them in the right with the guns. You know, the people who make the guns, right now they have a problem with the guns. They have a problem with the guns, you know, because the guns kill their own people. And they don't know how to control that gun. And they have that gun coming to us, and we're using that same gun to kill ourselves. But our people have a problem. Our problem to our people. You know what it is we do? We are there, I've stated many times, we are the most destructive to ourselves. When you listen to them, we have no sympathy for our people, you know. Our people have no sympathy for our people. When these things happen, the way you hear our people carry on, you understand, as though as if they're giving credence to what has happened to these people. They look for it. It should happen to them. They say, you know, I heard something there. They say that one of those fast food outlets makes 17 point something billion dollars. You understand? In Trinidad. And I hear somebody call on the station and saying You know, people say, well, you can't be against them because, you know what, they created employment, and you know, it's those at the bottom end, you understand, the ones who are more of an attitude and all this sort of thing. So you giving the same credence to people making money. People making money, they don't care what you know. They're increasing their salary, you know. When you look at the kind of work that you do, you understand? Long ago, as a young fella, around the 70s, 80s, as young boys used to be mopping the floor, and young boys wiping the counter. As girls doing it now. Security work was men doing it, young boys. Now it's girls doing the security work, you understand? So the idea was instead of elevating ourselves, instead of getting into a business, instead of learning something to help ourselves to become business people, we have become, I've said many years, I've said it again, we have become guard, servants, and cleaners. That is how they have us done. And if you look at it, that's what it is, guardian is servant, and cleaners. And the people, and you see the police, there are good police in the police service, but there are some criminals in the police service. And this killing, the commissioner of police, as he said, the arms and coming in this country, they are coming in through the legal port. And he hasn't arrested one person. There's no sting to hold nobody. The killing of people in this country started with under Randolph Burroughs, and it continued because those who was under him, they continue, others keep following, you understand? So that is where you have today, the problem we have today. They're not, remember guy he was under in the river? You understand? With the slaughter and murder them, fellas and them, they had guns in the river in the water, you understand? Think about what it is going on. And they get covered, and Guy Griffith, who gave them and sentenced them, they are cockroaches and rats and cockroaches, you understand? Where do you rats? You kill them, and he is the one that said the man fall off the chair and dead. Remember that? And come and listen, I want to see this man is saying he's coming back, you understand? He want to come back to be, you understand, commissioner of police in this country. That's an evil and wicked person you're talking about it. But David, I want to commend you for the work that you, because a lot of people, most times that come down, when things happen, they come down and say, what happened to Brother David? What happened to Kafra Cambon? What happened to the Emancipation Committee? But they don't know they had a role to play. You are playing your role at this present time. Everything is the future. Present. You are playing this is your role that you are playing to assist and help and educate and young African people so that you could have a wider and a bigger and a more educated society. You understand? Very Africans are conscious. Africans are conscious. That is you are playing now. Kafra Cambon, they play their role in the 70s. All the stop calling these people and do what they have to do. Stop criticizing on the radio every 11 days, cussing all the people every day on the radio, you know. Only waiting for them to have to cuss them. You know, so there's evil thinking. You can't really destroy yourself. People looking at you think what happened to those brothers could have happened to any race in this country and still them like that. Look what happened to the 4 guys who jumped down in down Paris somewhere down there.
Right. Look at the kind of national attention that has gotten.
They keep it alive. Until the government answer. You see they're talking about protest. There was a protest around Central there, which was by Wasser area. The man was going to light fire to burn a tire. The security, you can't light no fire here. There wasn't no police around to stop that protest. Anytime that protest on they don't have no police to protest. Once it's East-West corridor, they're coming at full force. So let's think about that. Have a good day, my brother. I hope this is saying, and I hope I'll get your turn to her. Okay, have a good day, my brother. And
all right, thank you.
You see the strength that you have, Brother David? I couldn't remember you have more guts than a calabash, you know. It's not easy. It's not easy. It's just struggle, you know. But let me get a little joke before I leave. I was listening to the Boris Johnson.
Oh, God, that's another thing we have to talk about.
And there was a member of the government said he was beaten, bruised, stabbed, shot, and thrown in the river, and he still keep coming out. Later, my brother.
Boris, oh boy. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, my brother.
Good morning to you.
You know, it is sad, you know. You know why? to me, somehow we're not facing the reality of the situation. I hear, no disrespect for you. I have great respect for you because you're of my kind. I may not agree with some of your views. So this morning, I may sound sort of controversial. So I hope you don't see me as being disrespectful. This is not to you. This is just towards us to wake up, please. That was a history lesson. All the murders and all the marches that what did we gather? What did we get from that? We still at the point that we can't tell what happened with the people in Mova, and we have a number of others that you just outlined. But we didn't achieve nothing. Unlike the protests, Black Life, George Floyd, what they was able to achieve is fast justice, speedy trial. The march ended up where the trial was able to move at a particular pace. We don't achieve that. What we complained for years. You outlined 50 by the police, right? How much years? 500 of us. And tomorrow we might have the same thing. What are we asking for to put in place to solve that problem? And you said the country was upset about Andrea Barrett. No. Andrea Barrett was used as a political ploy to get a group of people to make noise. Because here what they make noise for? Cameras. Which part they found Andrea Barrett body? They would make noise for cameras. And they didn't put no cameras up there and they need lights up there and brrr. But I have 500 of my kind that have been killed or allegedly murdered by the police. And nobody's asking for cameras for the police so we could solve this problem once and for all. All we do is complain. But no one is asking for the police. I have a police on my television every evening and telling me that it's difficult for a police to run with a camera. Garbage. I see that every day in America. I see a man get 16 shots, 60 shots, and the police running them down. Garbage, and nobody is telling that man what he's saying ain't making no sense. But we complain every day that the police kill, and we have no evidence on how long the matter takes, and we make a protest. And that protest on the beat was political, because if we was upset Saturday morning, nobody ain't moving, Sunday morning, nobody ain't moving, so Monday morning, you know have to come out of the house. I wait until 11 o'clock Monday to make a protest. How much hours after? That make any sense? And then I see a man come down with a PPP jersey to come on, and the same man who organized the protest with the man. But nobody yet ain't calling for cameras. That is going to solve our problem, Brother Mohammed, and we wouldn't have this history lesson that they just give us. All now we should be in tongue asking for the Commissioner of Police to sanction body cameras because we are fed up of our black youths being murdered, the matter taking too long to come to court. And here what's going on. These young fellas that they say fired a shot and they find a gun. Nobody can tell me if there are residue on the young man's hand or any one of those fellas' hand to say that a firearm was fired from any one of them.
Well, according to the Guardian newspaper of Tuesday, July the 5th, 2022, spoke of eyewitnesses observing on the scene the police planting a gun in the vehicle.
I heard that in the video. I heard that. I heard somebody in the video, boy, look, they will get them a gun, look, they put in a gun in the car. That was in the video. What I am saying is to avoid, to say what the video is saying and what the newspaper is saying is not true or true. What we need, because there are residue when you fire a gun, there are the residue that remains on the hand of the individual that fires the gun. Yeah. So from the time the police reach on the scene, forensics is supposed to reach there, cover the gentleman's hand, or dust down his hand, or wherever the case is, who they allege fire the gun, and see if that they take place. These are the kind of things we are asked for.
Okay, and who do we ask for those things in your
From
view?
the Commissioner of Police.
All right, but the Commissioner of Police, but one second though. The Commissioner of Police does not make laws.
No,
he enforces laws.
Hold on.
And the thing is, I was with you I was with you until you started to suggest that it was political. And that's where it becomes disgusting.
Mark,
No, one second. Okay, I
to.
listened to you very carefully. Right.
Mark,
But to suggest that the reason people are lifting their voices, crying out for justice, engaging in protests, is because of is not because of the reasons that these things happen. That trivializes it for all of us.
Let me explain you something. I heard that man.
No, but I listened.
Right.
But anyway, but thanks though for your call. I really appreciate it. Caller, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And pleasant good morning to my brother. There's so much. I couldn't understand the first caller's slant, even though there was a lot of truth there. But given a reason why the police are slaughtering young African men is because it's their fault, that is basically, I simply cannot understand that. I can't understand it, you know. Sometimes when I happen to see these police officers who are on television and so on, and they're looking like RoboCop, I would say, just like Farrakhan would say, these people are in good and safe hands. They are well protected, you know. But it is something, because one of the worst things that happened recently, and here you have to thank a mother and a mother's love, because if that mother didn't stand up with her son, that boy would have been hunted down and he would have been shot, long dead, gone, and he would have been the reason for the shot of the police officer, whereas the police officer was shot in the back of the head by his own police officers. If that boy's mother did not stand up for him, his family did not stand up for him, he would have been the reason, the person who killed that police officer, and he would have been shot. And what we have to ask ourselves is, how many times things like this have happened? They went on a manhunt to get at that young man and saying that it's he who killed the police officer. The police officer was killed with a police bullet.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only because of that boy's mother that came to light. No, where are we going with this? And then to say that we're supposed to blame ourselves because X, Y, and Z, I cannot understand that. I mean, I would have loved to hear those boys saying that instead of saying we're not killing Africans today or whatever, they say we have stopped killing our brothers and sisters. That would have been better to hear. But nonetheless, that doesn't give the police officer the right to do what they're doing. It is as simple as that. How can you just be behaving like mafia and that kind of a low-down criminal kind of a behavior in a place where you're supposed to uphold the law? How does that make sense to us? And we want to give a reason why that is happening. And half the time, all these people who come and say that we should do this and they should do this, and go out and do it. Gather some of your peers together and go out and do it. Do something instead of just coming and criticizing those that are doing. You do something. My dear brother, this place is something else that's going on here. Something else I don't know. But my brother, I would get on to you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Caller, good morning.
Hi, good morning, David. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
No, yeah, I am one of the people who believe that, there's a lot of work to be done in the police service with respect to shooting, and also in communities where black people are not taking care of their children. There are two conversations, because it's always a robotic thing where we blame people for bringing in the guns, but we don't deal with people. If my 5-year-old granddaughter knows that the plug in the house is not one where you can push a pin, if not I have safety devices to that, she had 5. Why would a 19-year-old, I have to stop some race we believe bringing in guns to prevent black fellas from picking up guns. Like one conversation. The other thing, the policing. The policing, there's always this convoluted way of having the police service have the minister just be a tolerant of the commissioner of police. Right now, to me, I really don't like how the commissioner operates. I think that he's not capable of handling the job. I don't think Guy Griffith is the alternative. But I believe people call for the minister to go. But the minister can't fire the commissioner, you know. There's a police service commission that is dormant, most of the time based on the arrangement from the parliament. Because we have one group of people here always don't trust the minister. So the minister can't fire the commissioner. In the case where, and my colleague was correct from Barataria, there is, when you are, David, you would know that the civil rights, whenever you have something happen in America, and I just feel sorry for African Americans, because white police is up there, when they stop you, their aim is to kill you. But civil rights come alive, because even the civil rights movement create laws where your civil rights could be infringed, and you will get litigation for that. In Trinidad, we make noise. The protest is done by people, and that's why he says it's political. People jump on the bandwagon because of a killing.
Right. Okay. So let me say, yes, it is very true that people do jump on bandwagons. People would take certain murders or certain kidnappings and make a meal out of it politically. But you know what? In my opinion, when something like that happens, I am not going to allow myself to become distracted by those who are trying to capitalize on these things. That's almost everything in Trinidad. Almost anything that happens, a lot of times people use it to try to either support their political party or bring down the other political party.
Right.
I'm ignoring all of that and focusing straight ahead on the issue at hand.
Right, but you know who not present? Who not present? I heard a gentleman talk about complaining, and I always tell people, he talk about, it's I who made the point that people were being critical of the fast food industry that made $150 million or $17 million in 150 days. And he find that I shouldn't downplay the fact that that agency employed almost 95% of African people. He couldn't give me an alternative African company that could employ the African people, but he criticizing the people for making a profit. And that's a black man. I have a problem with that, David.
Wait, which company are you talking about?
I don't want to call the company's name, but he was the fast food industry. I shared this on the program that she made the point about why would she was really was a nice program, saying that a company, a fast food outlet, made $17 million in 150 days, and I'm saying the company would make that because the demand for that particular food outlet is high. You could make it. And Trinis on that program, who I know are African people, were criticizing the company and saying, listen, don't be so critical of the company because they employ 95% almost of African people.
All right, now check this out. You see when it comes to that?
What?
I believe that there's a necessary balance. I am not going to congratulate some company. No, hold on. I am not going to congratulate some mega company for employing so many thousands of African people.
What is your
one second. Let me finish this point.
David, what is your alternative to employ?
Right. So if you let me finish, then I will let you know. So I'm not going to congratulate a company for employing, let's say, 10,000 African people because I know.
Really?
No, listen.
Really?
Okay. Are you listening?
Go ahead.
Because I know the value of the labor that those workers are contributing to the company is much greater than the wages or remuneration or salaries that they receive from the company because it's pure capitalist exploitation. But let me make my point now. No. Okay. You're definitely not interested. You're definitely not interested in the point that I'm making. You're definitely not interested in the point that I'm making, so I'll have to pull down your microphone while I finish. My point is, while I will not congratulate them for employing so many people, at the same time, I will not criticize them. But what I will do is redirect my attention to my community and encourage entrepreneurship. Because I'm hearing too much, especially out of some of these political circles, that we must grow our children up with no other hope nor ambition but to go and get a job from the 1%. And I'm hearing that particularly within the circles of some of the political supporters, that we should be happy, we should bow down and make obeisance and gratitude to the 1% for employing us, when the labor that we give to them is worth more than the salaries that they give to us. So I am saying, I'm not going to criticize them, I'm not going to condemn them, but I will question my own community as to what entrepreneurial projects are there for us to be able to elevate ourselves to a point eventually where we could employ that amount of people among ourselves.
Let me tell you something. Freedom is situated between two major arteries in Port of Spain. You can tell me right now, the emancipation support, your business, all these people who don't talk to African people set up. You had Netco, you had all these things. Who encouraging these people to set up business there?
Okay, so let me ask you. So are you saying then, am I picking up from you that we, the African community, should abandon any kind of hope of eventually becoming entrepreneurs in subsequent generations and just surrender any kind of economic ambition to just working for the 1% because they support and finance the political party that we vote for?
Listen to me, and my message can't go forward because you interrupt me. My thing is, there has been businesses. I keep telling people, leadership in the African community, you as everybody else depend on the politicians to do it. And I'm saying no. You all need to set up where you can talk to African people, like emancipation support, your people, African organizations, to encourage them to take up the offers being given by government. You all don't do that.
But wait, take up what offers are you referring to in particular?
All right, let me give an example. My sister goes with catering. She used Netco. She's a group of business. And she got right at getting going. You know, Persuader? Not the government. The government.
So wait. You're actually saying that my role in society, in your opinion, should be to encourage my people to take advantage of opportunities that the government gives them?
That's how the Indians do it. Yes, the Indians are persuaded.
So as far as you're concerned, my role in this society is to redirect people to the government.
I'm not reaching anywhere. You know why? Because we think the politicians should do it. The other races do it.
Hell no, brother. I don't expect anything from the politicians. My message to my people is that we have enough economic strength among ourselves to pool our resources and become entrepreneurs.
We are consumers. We are not business owners.
Exactly, but this is my point. But you're saying I should be redirecting people to the government. I disagree with that.
Right now, I'm in pocket in front of business owned by an African person to buy my breakfast. And it's not because I don't.
Okay, but what does that have to do with directing people towards government?
I'm making a point.
Okay, all right, well, thank you. I think you've made the point. I understand.
You have made the point. No, David,
Wait.
There's a lot of points that need to be made for you to understand it.
All right, well, I'll do my best to try to continue to understand on your level. But I totally disagree that, first of all, you cannot compare my organization with other organizations. We don't get any funding from the government. We don't get any money, any financial support, anything like that. Our message is to the people empowerment, that we can unite, pool our resources, form skills banks and think tanks, and climb out of this economic rut, which is accompanied by an educational revolution at the same time. So when we speak to our young people, our youth at our conferences, our seminars, our lectures, whatever it is, our message is, one, education. We have to take maximum advantage of the opportunities to empower ourselves through education. And Trinidad and Tobago stands out as a unique society over all other Caribbean societies in that most of the other English-speaking Caribbean societies started off with their first prime ministers being labor leaders or trade unionists. Ours was a scholar. So he established a nationwide network of school systems. So education first, but also land ownership, business entrepreneurship, networking, creating linkages between ourselves as an African community here in Trinidad and Tobago, but also across the wider Caribbean. That we must support black business, but also open our own businesses. And not teach our children, listen, I want you to study hard, become qualified, and get a job from the 1%, and they will take care of you. That sounds too much like this whole thing about, well, if we help the rich get richer, then they'll create opportunities for the poor. That's a lie. So I strongly disagree with the notion that my purpose is to guide people towards the government. I respect the government for their role, for their part. Fine. But I'm not going to bow down and worship them and try to twist everything that happens in this society in a way to try to justify their position or support them and sell my soul in the process. Hell no. Our message to our people is empowerment through education, land ownership, business entrepreneurship, unity, networking, pooling resources. And I don't see the government or guiding people to the government, as you say, as a mandatory factor in that. Of course, there are many projects and programs that the government may have available for the people that will benefit them, but that's not my role. So, fine, but we have to stop selling our souls like this as well. But anyway, I'll be back on next week, inshallah. Eid Mubarak. Eid Mubarak for Eid al-Adha to all of our people. And may Allah continue to bless you. Assalamu alaikum.